This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Upgrade your business with Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning fewer carts going abandoned and more sales going cha-ching. So if you're into growing your business, get a commerce platform that's ready to sell wherever your customers are. Visit shopify.com to upgrade your selling today.
We off?
30 seconds of carefree bliss.
Oof, like wind in your hair carefree.
Oh, like using Clorox Disinfecting All-Purpose Cleaner in the home carefree.
Yes!
Like dog slobbing on the coffee table and cleaning it with Clorox Carefree.
He's on a roll now.
Spit toothpaste on the faucet.
You got it. You got it.
Peanut butter on the light switch.
Oh, spritz, spritz.
Spritz, spritz. Clorox, man. Clean feels good.
Okay, we're back.
Use as directed.
This episode is brought to you by Honda. Introducing the all-new, all-terrain Honda Passport Trail Sport. The most off-road capable Honda Passport Honda has ever dreamt up. The Passport features increased ground clearance, roof rails on all trims, and available specially developed all-terrain tires. And you'll stay comfortable with tri-zone climate control and available features like heated and ventilated front seats and a panoramic moonroof. Learn more at honda.com/passport.
EVO. This series contains adult language and depictions of graphic violence. Listener discretion is advised. Let's stumble through my intro. 3, 2, 1. Hello, Devil Within listeners. Welcome back to another bonus episode of The Devil Within, Satan's Shadow. We have arrived at the Ascent Part 2, where we will hear how the trial wound up, and also if Dante and Virgil made it to the summit of purgatory. They did. Okay.
Spoiler.
Joined, as always, by Margot Carmichael, the host of Death by Southwest. If you're not listening, you should. It's a wonderful podcast, and she's been doing great work for over 100 episodes now. So, Margot, thank you again for joining.
Thank you for having me.
Did you have a good week?
Yeah, it's hot. It's 95 degrees in Tucson already. It's like we had 2 days of spring and now it's summer.
Is it really 95 degrees?
It is 100% 95 degrees today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not okay with me.
Yeah,
it's
100 on Saturday.
We're at a nice 75 here in LA. No clouds. My solar panels are humming. Oh, gotta tell you.
Solar panels. You've never seen solar panels till you've been to Tucson.
I am producing about 200% of my electrical usage with my solar panels.
That's so cool.
Amazing. It's amazing. My power bill last month was $22.
All right, shut the.
Insane. Yes, insane.
You know what my power bill is during the summer in Tucson? $800 sometimes.
A month? Gosh, that's just constant.
Because the house that I rent is from like 1950. So the window, there's like cracks everywhere. Yeah, it's bad. It is bad. But, the rest of the year, it's fine. Like, I don't have the air on now.
Right.
Because the house is still getting cool at night.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways.
Cool. Well, so here we go.
Yep. So let's get into this episode.
Yes, I know. It got a little Dante heavy. I know, but
when you sent it to me, you literally said that.
A
little Dante heavy, and I was like, all right, well, if he said he got a little Dante heavy, he got real heavy into it. That means.
Oh man, it just lit me up, this part of it, because I remembered, it was such a strange and beautiful unrequited love that he held for Beatrice. Okay, and what you don't realize until the very end of Purgatorio, before Paradiso, is that Virgil can't go beyond purgatory, so he needs a new guy.
You're bringing up stuff that I have in my notes.
I know. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, go ahead. Sorry. Forget I said that. Let's go.
Jumping ahead here.
Oh, sorry. Let's go.
All right, let's start off with that. Ramir, I like how you did it at the beginning. You're like, no. And then you just paused. I was like, no, what?
Yeah, it was a cheap cliffhanger at the end of it.
It was good.
It was cheap.
No, it was good for dramatic effect.
Yeah.
No, Ramirez did not kill the juror, Phyllis.
Phyllis.
It felt like a little light about how they determined that, though, don't you think? Like all that you said was like based on some evidence found at the scene and a witness.
Right.
They determined that it was. I mean, I'm not saying I don't believe that. It sounds. And then what's his name killed himself. So
Yeah. Well, look, the neighbors knew who lived there, right? The neighbors knew Phyllis and Mr. Melton, Jason, or John, whatever his name was, Jim. They heard screaming and gunshots. James, thank you. They heard screaming and gunshots. No one called the cops, but they looked out the window and they saw James's Cadillac tearing ass away from the scene. Okay.
Yeah.
And then a couple days later, Phyllis turns up dead. They're like, of course, it was the boyfriend. This is what his name is. Search known associates. They find him. He's barricaded and he kills himself. So it was pretty open and shut.
Very neat. Yeah, I mean, very open shut, which it literally could be, or there's the other way to look at it, like it was very open shut. I don't know. It might mean something else. Because, I mean, today that wouldn't stand. If somebody saw me you heard me and you arguing and heard a gunshot, and then I got in my car and drove away, and one person said that, oh, well, I saw her get in her car and drive away. Well, that doesn't mean I did it.
What that is a lead, right? And they would come talk to you.
And then if I killed myself.
Right. And then as the police were approaching, you're like, you're never going to take me alive, coppers. I killed that motherfucker. Boom. Right. Then it would be pretty open and shut that you did it.
Yeah, that's true.
And Mr. Melton was on the lam, right? He fled the scene. He wasn't around. He lived there. Okay. So it was
all right, so there's no room for real speculation as to otherwise.
No. I personally don't think so. But I listen. You never know. Anything's possible. It could, I don't know if Ramirez had that kind of juice on the inside to not only perpetrate a murder and then have a perfect patsy and an abusive ex-boyfriend or whatever. I mean, that would be pretty. That would be pretty great.
I don't know. Probably not. All right, fine.
Yeah.
So then we get into the trial procedure, and you say, I'm not judging. I'm just pointing out the uneven playing field. And I was like, oh, you sound very judgy, like very heavy. And also, that is like crazy. It's super leaning in the prosecution's favor to have them. It's the first thing that people hear, and then to have them end, it's the last thing that people hear, and the defense doesn't even get a rebuttal
to the rebuttal. That's how my kids argue with me. They get the first word and they get the last word, and it's not fair.
That's how I argue.
Right? It's not. It really isn't fair. I get it. It's the burden of proof. Listen, the prosecution has a more difficult job during the trial period, during the trial process, because of our system of jurisprudence states that we are innocent until proven guilty. So Ramirez walks into that courtroom. He's an innocent man until the prosecution proves beyond a reasonable doubt, not beyond all doubt. The jurors are allowed to have some doubt, but it has to go beyond any doubt that's reasonable. Okay. That he did it. So they have a much more difficult job. Whereas the defense can just say, maybe it was somebody else. And if there's a little bit of reasonability, the fact that someone else could have done it, then according to the laws of the jury trial, they'd have to acquit. Okay. So kind of to mitigate that kind of.
Yeah. They're trying to even the playing field.
Exact. Thank you very much. It's an attempt to even the playing field, given the high burden of proof that the prosecution has. Which
if people walked into a courtroom and really were considered innocent. I know they are by the, technically, yes.
This is blind, Margot. It's blind.
It's like nobody, like Ramirez walked in there and everybody's like, there he is. He's guilty. He did it. Nobody was like, oh, he's innocent. Let's hear them make me believe he's guilty. Like, that's just not the case. But the whole justice system is completely ridiculous sometimes.
But it's better than anywhere else. You want to go stand trial in Iran? No, you don't. Or Brazil? No, you don't. Hell, anywhere in Europe? Do you really want to? No,
I agree.
Yeah.
Ooh, that just made me wonder. I'm sure you don't know the answer to this. Like, you know how many people we wrongfully convict, and we find that out years later, especially with DNA now. I wonder if that happens a lot in other countries.
Wow.
Probably not.
Why not? Why don't you think it would? It's probably easier to convict over there, is what I'm saying. I don't know if they have the standards that we have.
I don't know. I do really enjoy watching the British courtroom, if there's a crime drama that takes place in England, and they have to wear the George Washington hair in court. All the lawyers do. Yes,
it's kind of silly, right?
It's so ridiculous.
It's very.
Do you think that giving the prosecution the last word has actually possibly changed jury opinions?
Yes.
Before?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I do, because if you're sitting there and if you're a defense counsel and you're like, man, I've got this great closing, and the prosecution goes and you're like, there's my trump card, bitches. Bam. Now what? Instead of that just sitting with the jury as the last thing they hear, then the prosecution comes in and goes, well, actually, it's this and that, so fuck off. And
plus, it's if the defense gives their closing statement, no matter how good and impactful it is, if the prosecution comes in with their whatever what is it called?
Summation or the rebuttal?
No, they go the rebuttal.
The rebuttal, yeah.
And that's even more powerful. Even if you loved the defense one, you're going to remember that one more.
See, it was Johnny Cochran. Think what you will about Cochran, and I certainly have my feelings about Johnny Cochran. O.J. Simpson's defense lawyer, he gave the summation, and he had such charisma and connected so well with the jury, and he spoke in rhymes. Okay, if it doesn't fit, you must acquit. Okay, and that was so powerful in summation, right?
God, that Americans we're so stupid.
We're a fortune.
He made a rhyme. That's it.
We're a fortune cookie society. That's it. That's all we could fit in our brains. And that was so powerful, and it landed so well with the jury that the rebuttal by the prosecution couldn't. They couldn't undo that. They couldn't get that earworm out of the jury. Doesn't fit. We got to acquit.
Oh my
it rhymes.
It is catchy and clever, and also it's just cheese. It's just cheesy, and that's so ridiculous that's enough. People love something that's we're just kind of dumb sometimes as a society.
Agreed.
Also, the trial's now over. I literally, you were like, okay, this and this and this, and the prosecution and this, and now we're done. I was like, what? Where's the rest of the trial? That was it. I guess these are the bonus episodes. But I feel, couldn't you do multiple episodes on the trial?
But all you would hear would be
the trial.
The same story that we just told in 9 episodes, just as evidence from
That's true.
As testimony. You'd hear about the Avia Prince, you'd hear about from the survivors, you'd hear, and we know all of that. So all of the people that we've already talked about, all of the evidence that we discussed, that's what was presented by Halpin, by Deputy District Attorney Halpin. The defense, all they tried to do was some other guy did it, some other dude did it, because the MOs were so varied and random, and the victimology was all over the map. So there's no way it was one guy. But then the shoe prints, the all of the unfenced items that Ramirez had, or that his cousin, or his friend up in San Francisco had, that were identified as from the victims' houses. There was nothing that the defense really could do,
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's a good point. I didn't think of it that way. True.
Yeah.
So then you get to jury deliberation.
Mm-hmm.
Would you want to be the foreperson if you were on a jury like this?
I'm not type A enough, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
I don't that's who's a great foreperson is. I know I can name you 5 or 6 moms just from one of my daughter's volleyball teams that was born to be a jury foreperson. Okay. Okay, because she is organizing the lunches for the girls. Here's the carpool schedule. Here's when we show up. Here's the jerseys that they're going to be wearing. Here are the numbers for everybody. Here's right. That's what you need. I don't think I'm organized enough. I've got too much of a kind of a creative lean to my brain, right, and less administrative. So, because you need someone who will be like the teacher's pet. No. No, listen, let's ask the judge. Let's make sure that we're interpreting this evidence correctly. Like that's what you need, someone who really gives a shit.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
At first I was like, "Ugh, God, I would never want to do that."
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Actually, I think I would want to do that if I really gave a shit
Right.
about
Yeah, sure.
the case. Then I'd want to because I don't trust anybody else. I don't want some other dumbass being in charge of this.
Yeah.
Like I'll do a better job,
Right.
so I would want to do it. I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's an election. Who wants John, who wants Mary, who wants whatever. Right. And,
Oh, they vote on it.
yeah, they vote on it. That's the first thing that they do is they
Okay.
vote on who should be the foreperson.
Okay.
And it's kind of like electing a pope, right? You want it to go to a guy who doesn't want it, right?
Oh.
Because you don't want it to be someone who just wants to get the fuck out of there, right? Who wants the deliberations to be over so he can go home or go back to work or whatever.
Right.
You want someone, like you said, who cares, who takes the
Right.
job really seriously. Someone that's probably not really well liked on the jury because of that,
Right.
would probably be the best.
I mean, you're 8 months in.
Yeah. And you want it to be
Who
over.
cares? Like,
That's
take
not the
another
time.
week or two.
Right. That's not the time to get chintzy, like
Right.
we're here. Let's really get the right person for it who
Yes.
will take us home. Yeah.
And it really, so before we get into Dante, the last thing I have about the jury is just like, I can't imagine the emotional toll this must have taken on them. Like, I would love to hear how once this was all over, I mean, I know we hear some statements from them at the end,
Yeah.
but like
I cherry picked
over
Yeah.
and done, and like they had gotten back to their lives. Like, how did this affect your mental stability and your emotions, or did it not? Because I can't even, or like your family, you're gone for 8 months. What the fuck? What about your dogs and shit?
Yeah. I found those quotes for that specific reason about the mental anguish that it took.
Yeah.
But a lot of them were the opposite. A lot of them were fucking pride for their city. That look what we did. We took care of LA.
Oh.
Yeah. That was a lot more than, oh my God, I can't sleep and it fucked me up. It was this sense of civic pride and like, fuck it. Let's go to a fucking Laker game and let's eat some tacos and let's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's celebrate like our city. Yeah. Yeah. So that
that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really interesting. Really interesting. Because I was expecting, people are fucking resilient and people get it. And people are, that evil exists out there and okay, I have an opportunity to fight it in a small way and let's go. Yeah.
Dante. Oh boy.
Dante and Virgil.
I'll say again, like you got to do a Cliff Notes podcast, and I want listeners to like write in and agree with me because I think it would be awesome. There's so many books that people like will never read because like, oh, it's too long, it's too boring, I don't want to deal with it. But like you do a good job of explaining it in a very like I understand it. I feel like I've read it kind of.
Good.
So my understanding is kind of this is where they're transitioning from like to a spiritual from like all this terribleness to spiritual reckoning. And it's like the space between night and day because you had something.
Oh yeah, that's what the sky looks like in purgatory.
Yeah, that was the purple stained sky.
Not quite rose. Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
time paused on the edge of its breath. I really had to think about that one actually. I was kind of like, time paused on the edge of its. I like think I understand what it's trying to say, but if you start thinking about it,
it's all from a great translation of Dante, like and who knows really what he even meant there, right? But it's because just remember we're not in a real place, right? We're in a place where the laws of physics don't really apply, and we're in a place of obviously Dante's imagination, and he's you pointing out the absurdities and the phantasmagorical kind of nature of Inferno, right? With all of that stuff that just wouldn't exist on Earth, okay? But when we're in purgatory, it's a little bit more familiar, right? Because we're on a mountain and there's terraces and it smells of like damp earth a little
Right.
bit. Okay, so it's getting a little more familiar.
Sure.
Of the three realms, it's the most familiar to Earth because we're actually on a mountain and we're outside. But then
Right.
there's things like the sky is perpetually not night and not day.
Yeah, I like the space between night and day.
It's
I like
breaking
that.
dawn, right? Because dawn is only there. Dawn only, you think about it, only lasts a second. There's only a
Oh
moment.
my God, it's not long enough. I love dawn, and it's
Only
not long.
a moment when dawn
Yeah.
breaks, and then it's morning,
Yep.
right? So this is perpetually at breaking dawn. Um, And so, in my opinion, that's what it means. Time pausing on the edge of its own breath is that the day hasn't really started yet, and that's how we mark time with the beginning of a day, right? And it hasn't. It has, but it hasn't. Like it's begun, but it hasn't continued. So that's my opinion of it, right? That's
I
how I
like that.
interpret it. But it's yeah. Anyway, so I stopped after the last episode after sloth, okay,
Right.
and
Right.
then we
So
move
they're
on
continuing
continuing
to ascend.
through the last three. Yeah.
Right. And so were you like, was this a conscious decision to kind of, because I was trying to see like, well, how are we relating this to Ramirez? And is it like his ascension is kind of like the ascension of the jury getting to a verdict? Like we're
No,
ascending.
and again, this is one of those targets that I was shooting for and couldn't quite get
Okay.
there. I wanted it to be the city's journey, Los Angeles itself,
Oh, okay. Okay.
dealing
Well, other people may have interpreted it like
maybe
that. That makes sense.
maybe dealing with
Yeah.
the city dealing with its own stuff. The sins
That
of the
makes more
city kind
sense.
of laid bare at this big trial that we let this monster roam for so long and kill
Right.
so many of our citizens and everything. And so we were we LA as a collective was kind of journeying towards
That makes more sense, actually.
redemption.
I
Yeah.
think that's makes sense. So then we get to Dante's posture changing, which seems small, but when I went back and listened to it again, I was like, I feel like this is actually a big thing, where he no longer sagged beneath the burden, and it was almost like he didn't really realize it, but Virgil
Virgil
was
saw
like
it.
watching
Yeah.
Dante like stand more straight. I hate to say erect, so I'm going to say straight.
Yeah.
Um, that like the physical transformation was like mirroring his spiritual one, essentially,
Correct.
right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. As the weight of all of that sin and all of the experience that he witnessed as a mortal going through the circles of hell, as that started falling away, he was having the effect of because remember what Dante was also going through here, right? He was having a reckoning within himself that he wasn't sharing with Virgil, right? He was saying like, "Oh man, I've wasted time before also. I'm going to
Yeah.
make a note to not do that anymore. I'm not going to covet other people. I'm not going to have someone's happiness diminish my own. Like I'm happy for them. That's great. And
Right.
that's okay. And I'll get mine a different way or another time, or I'm already happy with what I have. I don't need more right. So he was going through it, even though he wasn't actually guilty of those sins to the point where he would have to go through purgatory as a human. Maybe not, right? He was just allowed to experience this without having to die and realize what his judgment was going to be. Okay. So
Right.
a lot of this time he's questioning, is this where I would end up? Will I end up here when I die, or will my ticket get punched to heaven right away? Okay.
Yeah, because this is so like this is this I think is how I've been in the back of my head, but now I feel like, oh shit, maybe I'm wrong. I should clarify this. Like this is kind of like in like the a Christmas Carol, where like the
Exactly.
ghost whatever takes you through, and you see all of these different things, and that's what Dante's doing. He's not like here because he
No,
is here,
no.
but he's here because he's just kind of like a viewer, but then he's also internalizing what he's seeing.
Exactly. You have no choice. Basically, he's here because, game recognized game, right? Like Virgil's a
Right.
poet, right? Dante's a poet. He's like, okay, dude, you're curious. You want to write this. You want to know what this is all about because what's revealed later on of this unrequited love, right? That's what he's yearning for, right? Dante likens the love of Beatrice to the eternal love of the divine, okay?
Right.
And so Virgil has a little surprise for him at the peak of purgatory, right? But so he's got to So being able to go through it, it's almost like, in a way, you can think of Dante as like a war correspondent, right? Someone who's not fighting on either side, but is
Sure.
there to observe and report on. Right. Okay. Yeah.
Do you have a house phone? Did I just hear a house phone ring in the background?
No.
It's like I was gonna really give you a hard
I'm
time if
1,000 years old and I have a land.
I mean,
No,
I don't know.
my phone dinged because I got a
Okay.
text that came in. It never turned
I
off.
just heard it faintly, and then I was picturing like in your kitchen, and I was like, "Is there a house phone
There's
there?" I
not.
feel like maybe there was.
There's not. I've looked
Okay.
around. My house had been redesigned, I guess, from when there were landlines here, because there's no
There's
evidence
no.
of where the landlines used to be in the house. I know.
Oh, I have them in this house for
Really?
sure. Like where the little thing goes in, and
Yeah.
I said the other day, I'd love if I didn't have the job that I have, I'd get rid of my cell phone. I'd only have a house phone
And you'd have
for
a
sure.
landline?
For sure. I don't want people to be able to reach me when I go out. I don't want to have to check my email when I'm standing in line at Costco. Like, I don't want to be that connected. You
Wow.
know, if I want to check Instagram, I'll do it from my damn computer. And if
Yeah.
you want to talk to me, you can talk to me when I'm at home, not out doing something.
Sure.
That's
Yeah,
how
that
I
makes
really
sense.
feel. I feel like I'm aging. I'm becoming a grumpy old man.
That's okay. No, hey, listen. I love, unplugging as much as the next person.
Okay. So
So after sloth.
wait.
Oh, sorry. Go.
Okay, no, I'm not going to answer that. Oh, I did want to say something because I've one of my favorite words is anthropomorphize,
Anthropomorph. Yeah. Yeah.
and you did that to the mountain. I don't know if you did that or if Dante did that, but the mountain's breath blew cool and crisp,
Mm-hmm.
and that's one of my favorite things I learned in like grade school, and I love that word. What is myrrh?
Myrrh. It's like frankincense and myrrh. It's a scented kind of like herb, right? Like frankincense,
Oh, I
myrrh,
know what
and
frankincense is.
right. It's
Okay.
all right. It's one of the three gifts that the three wise men brought baby Jesus in the manger
Oh,
in Bethlehem. You didn't see that that Family Guy episode
uh-uh.
where it's like there's always that one person who gets too nice of a gift at someone's birthday, right? Like and the three wise men are walking up, and one guy goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! You brought him gold? I brought frankincense." And the third guy goes, "Hello, myrrh. Come on, dude, gold." Yeah. So myrrh is
That's
like a
funny.
medicinal kind of
Right.
scented kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know if I put my note in the wrong place or not, but like we're getting to the sixth terrace of greed,
Mm.
which, by the way, the opening line, the realm of
Avaricious. Avarice. Yeah.
avaricious, here comes the penitence. I was listening. I was like, what the fuck do these words mean? Am I supposed to know what this means? I don't know what
Avaricious
this
is greed. Penitents are the people who are humble before God.
repenting.
Are humble
Yeah.
before God. Yeah, exactly.
Humble before God. Okay. Yeah. I looked it all up. Um, but but I have in my notes, why can't Virgil go to paradise? So you must have said something there or hinted at it because immediately I was like, what? No. But
Oh,
then we move on to the sixth terrace.
yeah.
And so is this like kind of, I felt like this was symbolic of like letting go of like your, what makes you your worst self, like your
Yeah.
possessions, your ego, control, like that. And
Well,
when it says true wealth lies in release, like releasing your possessions.
or
Is that
releasing
what
your
it means?
attachment to your possession. See what happens a lot. You'll notice
Mhm.
in purgatory is that while the version of it in Inferno was obviously I'm hoarding all of my stuff and I'm bad and you can't have my
Right,
gold and fuck off. Okay, what you learn in
right,
purgatory is that it's not sinful on its face to be wealthy. It's okay to be wealthy. It's how
sure,
you treat it and how you internalize it. Okay, so in purgatory you realize you always get the okay version of the sin. Here's what you can do to be to be slothful and not end up in hell, right? You can,
right,
okay, it's okay to rest, but don't stay there. Realize you've got to be moving forward, right? It's okay to earn money, but don't
just don't
have
be so attached to it.
don't have it define you. right? And
Yeah.
don't be afraid to spend it. Don't be afraid to use it for good things. Don't be afraid to
Right. Can't
share
take
the
it with
wealth.
you when you
Right. So that's one of my favorite things about the middle section.
Oh, that's a good explanation. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, that these are the ways that you can like still
You
have
can be
these.
lustful, right?
Yes, you
You
can
be
still have these
lustful.
things,
Be
but
lustful
in the
within your marriage. Be lustful
right,
within the rules of your marriage. Be lustful
right,
about helping people, right? Get caught
right,
up in passion for art or for whatever. Like it's
right,
that part of it is not only acceptable, but it's gets you nearer the divine. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. My other favorite quote from this section was their dignity in their suffering, and I literally heard that, and I was like, oh, that's not me. I've always wished to be that person. Like I wish I could be the person who's like having a hard time, and I just like quietly keep it to myself and soldier on. But like, no, I like let everyone know. I'm like, I'm having such a hard time with this and blah, blah, blah.
It's
Like,
also
ugh.
Viktor Frankl, one of the greatest books ever, Man's Search for Meaning. Have you read Man's Search for Meaning? Viktor
Mm-mm.
Frankl is a European Jew in the 30s. Okay, he was a writer, and 1939, Germany invades Poland. All right, and all of the terrible shit starts happening to European Jews. Okay, and he was a writer, like I said, and they didn't realize how bad it was going to be. He and his wife and his family they get picked up by the Gestapo, and he takes his manuscript, the only copy, and like his wife like puts it under his wife's dress like to hide it because he thought he was actually going to be able like that was going to fucking matter. Okay.
Right.
And then they get sent
Right.
to a camp. The last thing he sees is his wife getting her fucking clothes stripped down as she's standing in line with thousands of other Jews, and the pages of his manuscript just go floating away. And he's like, "This is," and then they're all dead. His entire family's dead, and he's in a camp. Okay, but he's a writer. He's a student of the human condition. Okay, so he's in there and he's talking to people and he's trying to figure out grief and he's trying to figure out what kind of God would allow this to happen and all of this. And what he found out was the people who survived were the people who found meaning in their suffering. Okay. Something as simple as, well, gosh, the reason that they went first is because God must know that I'm the strong one, that I can handle it. How hard would it have been on them if I had died? Okay.
Right.
They might not have been able to handle it. So small things like that, finding meaning, which is not a small thing at all. I didn't mean
No,
to diminish it, but that was this whole thing. Finding meaning in your suffering is what sometimes can
I,
get us through. Instead of
I
just
have
being
to read that book.
it's
I think you
really
suggested it to me once before. I think this was months ago, and I told you I'm having like an existential crisis, which
mm,
is ongoing. Like,
mm.
why? What is the point of all this? Why am I here? That is my thought every day. And you suggested this book, and I haven't read it, so I wrote it down again. I'm going
Yeah,
to get it.
and Search for Meaning. It's not, you could read it in 2 days. It's not like this huge 800-page novel. It's a couple hundred pages long, and it's really, really, really heavy, really heavy. Yeah,
Okay.
and he survived,
Uh,
obviously. Frankel,
what
F-R-A-N.
happened? He rewrote it.
He wrote the book. He survived
He
the camp.
rewrote the book. Like he had this manuscript, and his
No, that
pages
book's
went
gone.
everywhere.
He was able to release his connection and his desire for that novel that he thought was going to make him the next, Franz Kafka, and just said, okay, I'm going to write this now. This is my reason. What the reason all of this
Oh,
happened to me
wow.
was to write this book. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Got it.
yeah.
Wow. Um, okay. Now we're moving to the seventh terrace, gluttonous.
Mm,
Um, so you said their trees are eternally just out of reach,
yeah.
but I thought nothing in purgatory was like eternal. Like that was the big difference. That in the inferno, it was like you're eternally wanting this or you're eternally yearning for this, and in purgatory, that isn't the case.
Hold
But
on.
now,
They
okay.
can graduate out of the seventh terrace. The
Oh, okay.
Right. Okay.
Got
The
it.
nature of the seventh terrace is we're going to show
Temporary.
right. But no, but the nature of the seventh terrace is you need to understand, you need to internalize a different definition of gluttony. It's not shoving food in your face. It's okay to eat. It's okay to eat your fill and to enjoy a banquet and all of that. but not to the point of excess where that is what your life is about. So we're going to show you can survive without grabbing the fruit off of this tree. And when you realize that, you're not in the terrace forever. So the nature of the terrace is eternal, okay? But the souls in it aren't.
All right. Okay. That makes sense. That clears that up. This one, I got a lot of quotes from this one because this really resonates with
Lust?
me. And no, like
Gluttony still.
So, yeah, gluttony. Yeah. Like hunger was no longer about food, but about control. I heard that and I had to pause it and write it down because, first of all, that is something that anybody who's ever had like disordered eating or issues with eating, like that sentence could have defined like my entire 20s to 35. Mm-hmm. Like learning to feast only on what truly satisfies. I mean, basically most of America could take note from this, I feel like.
Of course.
I mean, just subtle slide from joy to excess. Like, I don't know, all the lines in here were so, they fast not to torment themselves, but to train their desire. Like, it's so
great.
It's so brilliant.
Oh,
it's so brilliant. So what if you had to apply to fast from false appetites to like real life? Like, what would that mean to you in real life? Like, right, like if someone is fasting from false appetites, like now, today, what is that? What is that?
Gosh, for me personally, or for other people? Like for other people,
either answer.
100%, because this isn't me at all. But just the addiction to social media.
Oh, that's not me at all either. But yes, I get that.
Chasing likes, chasing comments, chasing all of that. Oh my gosh, it's because I see it happening with my kids. Like I see it.
Really?
Yeah, I see it.
No, I hate that.
This happened last night. We were driving home from volleyball. Okay, and we're lucky. We live in a really nice part of the city. Okay. But where the volleyball club is in like the fucking hood. All right. Mm-hmm. And so we're driving away. We're like a block away from the place and we hear pop, pop, pop. We hear 3 gunshots. Okay. And I'm like, roll them up. Right. And we're going. and we're like, Margot, I'm not kidding. 30 seconds later, my youngest goes to my oldest. Why did you post? Okay. Why did I hear gunshots just now? Like it had already been posted on Snapchat and people were going, oh my God, are you okay? What happened? Oh no, where are, right? Like, and then it's the attention. And I'm thinking, oh man, she's getting all those endorphins right now.
How do you break that? Like, I don't know how you break that because
the phone in the fucking sewer is how I break it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's like so sad. I'm sorry. I know you have kids right now, but like to have kids now that didn't grow up like I grew up, like you grew up.
Yeah.
It's depressing to me because I can see getting caught up in that a little bit here and there. I can understand, but like at this point in my life, I don't give a fuck.
No,
like I don't care at all what you're doing, what your kid's birthday look like. I care what you know when your wife posts stuff. Sure, I like it's nice to see some of that stuff if I happen to be on. I don't care if somebody likes my shit or not or comments, and I don't think you can break that out of kids today because that's how they grew up.
We got through our entire lives
without it. Ever.
Without knowing what our friends had for lunch, and we're fine.
Right? Without being able to contact them,
right? Without
like at any given moment of the day.
Yeah, without knowing where they went on vacation, without seeing pictures of the wing of their airplane as they're landing at home. Right? I don't need to see any of that. So that's where I think the gluttony is right now in our society. So that which would be,
so true.
I think it can be distilled to the need for attention, gluttonous for attention. Gluttonous for having people believe that our lives are different than what they are because none of that stuff on Instagram is real. It's cherry picked. It's curated, right? The real stuff is never on there,
No, of course not. But I don't like that. It just I could talk for hours about this because it drives me nuts. I do not understand it, and and the only thing I can think is that like that's because this was not part of my life until I was a fully formed adult.
Yeah, agreed.
It makes me sad for kids so much. Yeah, that's a really good point. I think you're right. That's true. Social media. That wouldn't be for me. I don't know what it would be for me. I'd have to, what would it be for you?
I knew you were going to ask. I don't really know. there are specific areas of my life that have, excuse me, that have taught me for a really, really long time to be wary of gluttonous kind of activities. Okay, so I have purged most of them from my life. I think the last thing that I have really that I would overdo it on is sugar. I eat like a 12-year-old if I see a bag of candy. Right.
You do like a 12-year-old.
I
You
know.
really.
I do. In that one, I also eat healthy other time, most of the time.
Oh, you exercise and stuff.
And I exercise, of course, but for that, yeah, I'm kind of
Huh.
gluttonous for junk food. I admit it. I'll crush a bag of Doritos or like a sleeve of Thin
Wow.
Mints. Thin Mints? Are you fucking kidding me?
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I could live on sugar and not fast food, but like Doritos and Velveeta, and I like love it. I wasn't allowed to have that as a kid, and now I don't allow myself to have it either.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what mine would be. I have to think about that now.
And work for me. I overdo it on work sometimes.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, because I'm afraid of falling behind. That's all. So
That's a questionable one though. That could be like that could work in your favor.
I see people who have a better work-life balance that I want to emulate. So
Okay.
I can say that. So
Okay. Well, I asked the question. I feel like I should have an answer to it too, but I don't. I don't know. I don't indulge in like foods or booze. I mean, like sometimes, but not like that.
Right.
Not work. I have a good work-life balance. I don't overdo it. So I don't know. Let's think about it. So eighth terrace, the lustful. As we're getting to this, I'm like, where's Beatrice? Where is she? I know she's coming somewhere.
He's got to earn it. He's got to earn it. And he does right here. He's afraid, but he does it anyway. He trusts Virgil.
Yeah, so like he was just literally scared of the fire.
Of the fire.
Like that, there was no like kind of deeper, it was just like he's scared of the actual
a little
fire.
bit of a deeper meaning. He felt there was a little bit of an imposter syndrome going on, right? Like that's not the time to realize that you're unworthy, because that is the ultimate test.
Right.
You know it's going to burn, but it's not going to burn your flesh. It's going to burn out the sin. It's a purification. It's fucking purification. Yeah. Dude, that's scary.
Yeah.
I would totally do it. I would totally do it.
Me too.
Yeah.
Dante is scared to walk through the fire. He still feels fire, but it's not about destruction. It's about purification. Yeah. It burns not to destroy, but to purify. Desire was not the enemy. It was the misdirection of desire.
How great is that?
Great.
See, that's what I'm saying. There's always that answer in purgatory. Desire's not.
Yeah, I like that. That like it's almost like kind of like about balance. It's like you can have desire, but you can't misdirect it. Like do this, but don't do it to this extreme this way.
Exactly. Desire's not the problem. Misdirected desire is what gets us into trouble. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's okay to be desirous. Be desirous of the good things. Be desirous of joy. Right. Be desirous of time with your family. Be desirous of all that. Right. Yeah.
Ramirez had desire that was like really
completely straight. He just wanted as much cocaine as there was in the world. Okay.
I mean, who doesn't? But fine.
And then he was very, I mean, again, it was a mental disease, very sexually desirous, his hypersexuality. Okay.
In a dark way.
Oral copulation. You don't like
forced.
Okay. Forced oral copulation. Right. So yeah, he's the poster child for misdirected desire. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think that it's scary? Like, people say like changing and transformation is people are scared of change and scared of changing who you are to try and be better because it requires like going through that fire first. Like, any kind of major change usually is uncomfortable before it's comfortable.
That's the nature of change. Absolutely.
Right. So if you had to put yourself in this, like, what would that fire represent, like, for you? Like, what would it be? What would, what I mean?
For me, it would be, honestly, that's a crazy question. I wasn't expecting it. Not at all. Uh-huh. My wall of fire is my own near crippling self-doubt.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Every time I'm able to like kind of cut that loose and just trust myself and move forward, it works out. But so many times I'm held back by that. Yeah. Yeah. That's what it is.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I would not have expected that. I don't know what I would have expected, but I wouldn't have expected that because you don't outwardly show a lot of self-doubt.
Mm. Okay. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. That would be it for me. Good question.
Interesting. And so then we get to Eden, the not a metaphor, but a place not lost but guarded.
Real place that
And
Dante
two
had only
rivers.
dreamed of.
Oh my gosh, the two rivers was cool. One to forget sin, one to remember virtue.
Yep.
And then Beatrice. Finally. I was like, yes. I literally had it because I wrote my notes first and then typed them. I had Beatrice written like in huge letters.
And what did he say to her?
Well, I wrote down this because I thought this was really interesting, and I'd love to know your interpretation of this. Her beauty was not gentle; it was exacting. Like, what does that mean? Like, if you had no idea what somebody looked like, a woman
Right.
looked like, and that's all you heard, what does that mean to you?
Beauty. For me, exacting beauty is it's not up for debate, right? Like it's not a matter of opinion. Okay.
Got it.
Right. Like someone could say, like I could hold up a picture of a woman and 5 different men would go, yeah, no, yes, awesome. Oh, she's okay, not too bad, right? That's like a gentle beauty. A gentle beauty is easy on the eyes and nice, and some people might go, not really my type, right? But exacting, it would be a little scary, intimidating, definitely, But remember, it's also how Dante viewed Beatrice in life, like he knew her in life. Okay,
Right.
so all it is a matter of opinion.
But not much. He didn't know her. Wait, remind me. I thought he didn't really. He like watched her from afar.
Yeah, in a maroon dress. That's it.
Right. Like he didn't like
She
know
lived,
her.
no, she lived only in his imagination from then on. Yeah.
She's not. She's like. Oh, you strayed. You loved shadows and called them light.
Oh,
What is that? To me, that was like kind of like the ways that like people justify all the horrible things that they do. I don't know. I really thought about that when you loved shadows and called them light. What is that? How do you interpret that?
for me, that's the life of an artist. Okay, because artists look for all aspects of the human condition, right? They try to be a mirror on nature, and a lot of it is darkness. Okay, but if you capture it correctly, right? I mean, it becomes the light for me, right? Means when she says you shadows and called them light, is illumination in terms of intellectual or creative kind of pursuits. That she was kind of, because he'd wanted to be maybe a priest or get into, he was involved in politics instead of remaining like virtuous, right? And doing it makes me think that Dante doubted himself a little bit with his life choices, because when he stands before Beatrice, there's no bullshitting. Okay.
Right.
He is like emotionally completely exposed and naked in front of her.
Right.
Right. So this is him confessing.
So now I'm changing my opinion because I just was reading it over and over. You loved shadows and called them light. Like I would take that as that you found beauty in the darkness. Is that what you were saying? No. You loved shadows and called them light. I'm going to think about this.
That's a critique of him. She's criticizing.
Yeah, no, she's saying you strayed. You loved shadows and called them light.
Exactly.
She's saying it as a critique, but I don't know. I'm going to read about that line. So she tells him to drink from both rivers.
Mm-hmm. But wait, what did he say about her? What did she do for him in his youth? What was the line?
Hold on.
I'm looking for the episode now. Hold on. because it was so profound, and I knew I was going to lose it.
Oh, I'm going to find it right here.
It was right before that. He says you did something for like you. Oh man, captured my youth or something about.
She's supposed to be.
It's okay. We can move on. I'll find it.
God, no, now this is going to. Oh, you were the light of my youth, the spark that pulled me from darkness.
Yes.
Beatrice didn't smile. Her beauty was not gentle, it was exacting.
You were the light of my youth. That line. That line right there. You were the light of my youth. Oh.
Yeah, and right before that, Dante fell to his knees.
Yep.
You were the light of my youth, he whispered. I love Dante.
Wait, say he fell to his knees, then what?
He fell to his knees and then whispered, you were the light of my youth.
Oh, gosh.
The spark that pulled me from darkness. What a fucking beautiful thing to say to somebody.
Wow.
Yeah, and then she says, you strayed, you loved shadows and called them light, but grace has brought you here. I don't know. I like can't stop thinking you love shadows and called them light. Like you love something that's so dark, but to you it was beautiful. But that doesn't make sense because right, she is saying it like in
it's a critique. And so now is because you think about it from Dante's point of view, is maybe his internal dialogue saying like, why weren't we together? Okay.
Yeah.
And that could be an answer to that question, right? Like, that's why I'm here, but why didn't I spend my life with you on earth? Why did you die young, married to another man, when I would have loved you for all eternity and blah, blah, blah? Because, yeah, so maybe, but now there they are.
This whole next part, first of all, like, so beside them, he drank from both rivers, and then Beatrice said, now you are ready for the stars. And then just in that moment, you're just like, and then Virgil just faded and disappeared. Just like, that's it. Virgil's gone. And I will say that I did like, what a like amazing, like, I don't know what the word is, like such a badass thing he just like faded. There was no like big exit. There was no like goodbye. There was no nothing. It was just like, he just faded away.
Why? It wasn't his choice. It wasn't his choice. He didn't want to do that. He had to. Because where does he live forever? Where does he live forever?
Yeah.
Virgil's in limbo. Remember, Virgil's in the first circle of hell because he died in a time before Christ was born. Through no fault of his own, he's forever separated from the divine love of Christ. He physically can't go because he was never baptized. So remember, everybody in limbo, their only punishment is a longing. That's it.
That's
I know. So Virgil could go anywhere through hell and up purgatory, but he can't step into paradise. He can't step one little toe into Eden.
Oh, longing for something, for someone, for something, and never being able to get
not
his
for something or for someone, but for the ultimate divine warmth of the love of
Christ.
For
him, this is right? Worse.
Yeah, he's constantly, perpetually, eternally separated from that. Yeah, that poor fucker, right? I know.
But he didn't have a choice, but he still went gracefully. He just faded away.
Because he's a pimp.
Yeah. Right? That's what I'm saying. He really was. And this whole part was like very like lovely. Carried Dante from despair to discipline, gave way now to regulation, and overhead the sky shifted, the constellations turned, not in fate, but in freedom. The journey through hell had taught Dante the depth of sin. Purgatory had shown him the possibility of ascent. Yeah, I actually do want to read this. No, I like it because I listened to it twice and then I read the transcript again because then it really computes for me. And I think, and so when I'm reading, I'm like, oh, I do want to read this. Yeah, it was really.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Cool.
Really beautiful.
Cool.
And then the last part, the hybristophilia.
Hybristophilia. Yeah, right.
I mean,
It's legit.
I shouldn't make that face because realistically, it's a paraphilia, which is just a fetish.
Yeah. Right.
I'm not gonna I've lots of people have fetishes. I don't think there's anything wrong with it as long as you're not hurting somebody else. It's totally great, and I don't have to understand it. Some people watch people sit on cakes, and that does it for them. Like sit down on a cake. And
do you have a camera in my house? What's going on? How do you know? No, I'm not kink shaming either. That's do your thing. Where it gets dangerous is when they get so involved that they want to help them kill people or plan crimes or whatever. Right.
But in this case, that's not. Well, I guess that is possible because he could ask because they're in the free world, so he could have them do
stuff. He could have them do stuff. Right.
Okay. But just really I guess I understand this one more than I understand wanting someone to pee on me. I don't really get that. That's a fetish. But this I could see. People like we were talking about this before we got on the recording. Somebody who's a little more dangerous and
no, exactly. Listen, I consider them like groupies, right? Of a rock star because that's how Ramirez comported himself. He was famous, like it or not. He was infamous, I guess we could say.
Yeah.
Handsome, charismatic, wore those sunglasses. He wore his suit with the shirt open and stuff. He looked good. Right.
Yeah. I mean, for a murderer, he looked
good.
Okay.
And what, if you ask any of these hybristophiliacs that were in the courtroom the whole time, they would say, no, he's innocent. He didn't do this. That's why I'm here. I wouldn't fall in love with a brutal fucking serial killer. He's obviously innocent and the evidence just isn't there yet. I'm like, well, why do you think he's innocent? And it was a circular argument. Well, because I wouldn't fall in love with a killer. So he can't be a killer. I wouldn't have fallen in love with him. Right. Yeah. So that's
Chris Watts, the one when you were talking about that guy and how he had, was that his name, right?
That freaking guy.
Yeah. I the story rings a bell, but I need to go back to that.
Don't. It's one of those it's one of those you don't even really need to.
But people who are obsessed or in love with him, I don't that's beyond me. I don't understand that. Do you know anyone? Have you ever heard from listeners or fans, or do you know anyone in your life who has written to inmates? Because I do think it was important that you pointed out that not everyone who writes to inmates, they're not doing it out of lust or love.
No, sometimes it's advocacy. Sometimes it's maybe they need a friend or they're lonely, whatever. Sure. Yeah. No, I had one guy. I had one guy that I used to work with who would always go to prison. I'm like, what? Why? And he goes, I got to go see somebody. I'm like, maybe it's his dad and whatever. He doesn't want to know. But his wife was in jail. Oh. They were married, and then she did some wrong shit and was incarcerated for a really long time. And they were trying to make it work. And then one weekend, he picks up weekend shifts. I'm like, why aren't you? He goes, I met somebody. I'm like, you really? You're leaving your wife? He goes, she's got another 7 years. I got to be honest. I'm like, oh, where'd you meet your girlfriend? He goes, standing in line at the prison. She was going to see her husband. so we had a lot in common. We really understood each other. And last I know, they're still together. So yeah.
Wow, really? Yeah. That's gonna make sense. I mean, that's a weird thing that not a lot of people could understand.
I know.
Being married, loving somebody, they go to prison. That's it.
Yeah, I don't get it at all. But yeah, they got it. Yeah.
22 days of deliberation.
Yep.
Why? What?
See, that's a good four-person. That's a good.
I guess you're right. That's true.
That's a good four-person, because one of the big things that a judge will tell a four-person: don't fuck this up, and give them a reason for appeal. Okay, make sure you're by the book on everything. Okay. And so 22 days. Yeah.
Ramirez declined to be there, and is that what you said? Did I hear that correctly?
At the end of all of his bluster and all of his everything, he wasn't
there to hear guilty.
He didn't have the balls to learn his fate like a man.
I didn't even know that was an option. Sure. I didn't know that you were allowed to be like, nah, I don't feel like showing up there.
You don't have to leave your cell.
Really?
Yeah. No.
Okay. Yeah. And then the jurors making, evil in its purest form.
There we go.
Hearing testimony in her dreams, this was really lingering with them. Oh. But it's interesting that you said that the more of the jurors were very proud of what they were doing.
Very prideful. Very, very prideful.
And you really love Phil Halpin. I can tell. Like the way you talk about him with like
Kind of
great
public servant that you want
joy.
out there. He's the kind of guy you want out there on the job. Yep.
Yeah, he died on his birthday.
Only 2 years
July.
after retiring. He didn't even get to enjoy his fucking retirement. He retired at 63.
Mark's biggest fear is that like he's gonna work till he retires and then like he's gonna die.
That's what happened to Phil. He had 2 years, and probably one of them sucked because he had cancer. You know, yeah, 37 years.
We can assume he maybe loved his job.
37 years. Yes, he served. Yeah, he served the city of Los Angeles in court for 37 years. Great. I would have loved to have had a wonderful long retirement.
Yeah, I can tell. You can hear that. You can hear that you really like this guy when you talk about him. It made me kind of sad because it seems like he almost feels like kind of like a throwback to like how lawyers used to be back in the day, like really good, dedicated, didn't need to take a victory lap, blah blah.
He didn't go write a book. He didn't try and get a fucking TV show, like nothing. Just did his job. That's it. Yeah.
Yes. And then the jurors have to come back, which I was like, what? If I was a juror, I'd be so pissed.
Yep.
And then they get he gets the death sentence, which I have a question about. But then he says his monologue and he says, I am beyond good and evil. See you in Disneyland. And he said Disneyland chose not to use that in the commercial.
Because that's when all of it first started, when the Super Bowl winning quarterback would go, hey, I'm going to Disneyland. That's what Ramirez was trying to do, but he didn't get the fucking quote right. It would have been great if he nailed the quote.
See you in Disneyland.
Right. He should have said, I'm going to Disneyland. That's what he meant. And that would have
I get it, but that's so
that would have been great. But the fact that he even brought up Disneyland was funny.
Really funny. Yeah. And then he got the death penalty, but he never actually got the death penalty.
Correct. He died of cancer. Yeah. He died of cancer.
But like he was in jail or prison for a long time. Like he died of cancer much later.
Yes.
That's what I mean. Like you would get the death penalty.
He was in 15 years he was in jail. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess that's not that.
He died in 2003. Yeah. Yeah. So I know everyone wanted to see him die. They want at the hands of the state that he terrorized. But
I just mean like if he was still alive, how cool would have this podcast been if you could have gotten like interview clips of him?
You would have talked too. He loved giving interviews.
Yeah, I mean like that would have been so interesting.
Yeah. But we'll go over that in the next episode because I'm going to do one more bonus episode. I decided I'm going to do one more.
Oh my God. Yeah. I thought you were going to do like 4 or 5. Like there's so much here, but yeah.
Yeah. I think the audience is ready to move on and to get into some back into some weekly episodes of just, demonic possession and ghost stories and cryptids and stuff. And to be honest, I'm ready for that also. Yeah.
Okay.
I found some good stuff. But hey, great. Thank you so much for your thoughtful consideration of this. And I look forward to next week. Yeah. If you enjoyed the episode, guys, share it with somebody you think might enjoy it as well. Head over to Apple or Spotify, rate and review. It helps so much. And consider supporting the great companies that support the show because I couldn't do it without them. So please go follow Death by Southwest. Tell your friends about it. Again, it's a great listen. You cannot go wrong. Margot, thank you. Anything you'd like to add? Anything coming up on your show this week you want to talk about?
No, just more true crime. Actually, I did a part 1 last week, and part 2 will be next week. And it doesn't take place in the Southwest, but I was so captivated by this one. I was like, fuck it, I'm doing it. Fantastic. It takes place in New York.
All right.
But it was, I found it very interesting. So, that's it.
Check it out. All right. Well, until next time, everybody, stay safe out there.
Bye.
The Devil Within is an EVO production, recorded live at Bel Air Studios in Los Angeles, California. For The Devil Within, I'm your host, Branden Morgan.